I've been asked to show my gravers and how I use them. These are my bog standard gravers, different sizes. This very small one I don't use very often. That's why it hasn't got a decent handle like this, because it's just a very rare use thing. As you can see, that it has a diamond shape, so the only cutting edge is this bit and this bit, and it depends whether you have it diamond up or diamond down. Diamond up is like that, diamond down is like that. Mostly you use the front sort of third, and this isn't a sharp point, it's got a very rounded end on, because if it was too sharp it'd be brittle and it would break off.
Motion detected at the front door.
Sorry, that's somebody at the front door. Where was I? So I did a video about how to sharpen them, how I sharpen them, and this is just a follow on. Somebody asked me to do how I use them. Say, that's the basic cutting graver, but I also have gravers for really hard stuff. These are carbide. These get used very, very rarely. 99% of what I do is with a normal high-speed steel graver. I don't have any bother with them. Nice and easy to sharpen, and I'm happy using the high-speed steel. As for parting, you can see I've got various ones here. This one with a bulbous end I use when I need a bit of force for slightly harder steel. These two are just normal parting tools, and as you can see they both taper at a different angle, so that depends whether you want the pip left on the job or on the stock. Ignore that, that's when I was doing the tusk count. So there's the two parting tools. One of them is tapered that way and one is tapered that way. That's the only difference with these. The reason being, if I want a clean finish of the part I'm cutting, I use this one, and if I want to leave a little pip on it, like if I'm making a screw, I use that one, because that will leave a little pip there and that will leave a little pip there. Hope that makes sense. The only other parting tool I use is an X-Acto blade. And you see that's very thin. It's a lot thinner than these. Probably less than half that I would think, or maybe half that. And you can see I've modified it slightly. That blade should go straight up to a sharp point, but I've put an angle on it to give it a bit more strength. And I use that if I'm cutting something really small and fine. What I'll do, I'll get set up in the mill. No, not in the mill, in the lathe. And I'll show you how I use them, how I use these to find centre of a part, because you can find centre very accurately with these. I'll show you how I do that. Although you can also do it with something like this. That is just a piece of piano wire, and it's sharpened to a three-way point. This is just a bit of brass with a hole which is a snug fit through there, and the way to do that is once you've got this sharpened, you put a hole through there just a bit smaller than this, and then you run that through there, and that gives you the exact size you want. So it's a good fit and it won't fall off. So one end has got a slightly larger cup than the other. So let's see if I can do an example. That goes over where you want to find centre, that goes in, and you can see that just protrudes through there, only just. I don't know whether you can see it or not, but it's just not quite flush with the end. So then you just hold that and you push with that, and that puts a divot in the part you want to find centre to. But I don't use that very often. I normally do it with a graver, and I'll show you that when we're set up on the lathe. But I'll bring you back when we're all set up. We'll do a bit of cutting with a bit of brass and a bit of mild steel. Before I show you on the lathe, I thought I'd better show you what I use on the cross slide. There are plenty of different sorts, but these are the ones I use. Ignore that one for a minute. This is mainly what I use for turning. Now it's got a taper there, it's got a taper there. If you'll have a look on the end, you see that it's not dead square, it tapers in. Same as that, tapers down and back. This face tapers away, so when you're cutting, the only bit touching is the actual cutting edge. That's what I use mainly for turning, although you can use it for facing, but I normally use this one for facing, which does facing and putting a chamfer on or a taper, you know, so you don't get a nice square edge, or if you don't want a square edge, you just use this to take the very corner off to make it look nicer. And again, that tapers away from the point. Every angle it tapers away. Even on the top there it tapers away a little bit, although I've not done it too much on there because I use this for brass and steel, so that's why I haven't tapered too much off the top. And the other one is the parting tool, similar to the graver parting tool, but just a bit sturdier. You've still got a very slight taper on the end there, it's not square, it tapers away, and it tapers away there. I do have a boring bar, a small one, but at the moment it's on my Pultra lathe. Well, it's on a multi-fix that's on my Pultra lathe, so if I need to I can take it off of here and put it on one of these. I've got a couple of these spare, so that's the boring bar. That's basically all I use on the cross slide. Okay, how I find centre is I have the graver upside down, like so. It looks like it needs sharpening there, doesn't it? Get a pointer. Looks like it needs to have a bit of a sharpen there. It's a bit rough on that edge. But have it upside down. Start the lathe. Have this resting almost on centre, and then just gradually do it. You just need to push it in, that's all, nothing major. And you know when it's on centre, because it'd be wobbling like that. If you've got it in the right place, and it doesn't wobble. I haven't got it deep enough yet, I'll get it a bit deeper. That should be better now. It just sits there, doesn't move. So you know that hole is exactly on centre. And then you need to alter everything for turning down. A lot of people have it that same way, like that, when they're turning down the face, but I don't. I have it the other way round, I just find it a bit easier. Get it set up. I do it that way round. Let's get that out of the way first. And just put it across there. I tend to twist the graver. And then for turning down, you want the graver about on centre of the part, which is about correct. For brass, you have the graver square to the stock. With steel, you have it at an angle, tapered down. So, can I do it on the microscope? I don't know. No, it's a job to tell. But this edge at right angles to the top of the stock for brass, but on steel you have it lower, so you have a positive rake and a negative rake, and it's just the front third really that does the work as a graver. Although it does look as though sometimes that is touching, it's actually not at the back. Get the angle correct and you can just turn it down nice and smoothly. See, it's only cut in the front third really. When you finish making your part, always just very lightly take the edge off. You see, that's so much smoother. And then we'll get set up for a bit of steel, and I'll bring you back in a sec. Okay, now we've got a bit of steel in there, a bit too much stuck out, but it'll give you the idea. I think this is a 6-inch, bit of a 6-inch nail. But again, but a little bit more of an angle there on the graver. Again, it's mainly the front third. But when I'm doing very small stuff, I tend to have the grave the other way round, like so. But this is not small stuff, this is quite big. I mean, that's probably 4 or 5 mil there. I rest this finger on the rest and I rest the tool against it, and then you just alter the angle up and down until you get a good cut in. Once you get the angle you want cutting, like there, look, you just keep it at that angle. And again, you can do the shoulder just the same with your finger there, or you can do it the other way up, like so. Doesn't matter, it's just whichever you're happy with really. And then for parting off, it's just a thinner tool, that's all. See, that just cuts it at an angle
So it's cutting more at the front there than it is at the back. I hope that was helpful. I don't think there's anything else I can tell you really. It's just practice, practice and a bit more practice, and it will come. Thanks very much.